Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a Rune and Tarot Divination for Monday, the 28th day of March, 2022. Well, I hope you had a good weekend. I got out in the garden a little bit. You know, we've got a lot of pollen here right now where we are, and I don't know about where you guys are, but I just get exhausted. I get out there and I work for maybe 15, 20 minutes, and it's like, oh gosh. Then I have to decide, do I sit down? Do I go in? What do I do? And so I stay out a little while longer, and then I come in. But man, it just totally takes me out. And I still have more. I started doing the raspberry canes, and I've still got probably 2/3 of the bed left to do, and because it's a pretty big bed, and because I got to get the dead ones out of there before they, because the leaves are actually starting to come out on the other canes, so I've got to get that done. But I think it's going to take a little longer than I thought. I can't go out and do it all. You know, it's too much. But anyway, all of the posts are up for the week on the blog over at Stepping Aside at imsteppingaside.com if you want to check those out. There's a link below the video here. If you click on Show More, it opens up an area there that shows all the links of where I am, including the blog. So, but one of the posts I do for those of you who've never been here before, and if you are new, welcome. It's great that you came by to watch and join our little, maybe you'll click subscribe and join our little tarot and rune family here. But I do an esoteric influences post for the week, and I like to take Monday. I do this on Mondays and Thursdays for the video, and so I like to take the esoteric influences for those days and talk about them. Just read them to you from that post. So today we have a numerology of 1 with 28 reducing to 1, which is new beginnings, wholeness, unity, leadership. The rune today on the esoteric influences, anyway, is Kenaz. The geomancy rune is a missio, and Kenaz is it's kind of a component in just about all of the runes themselves from the Elder Futhark. Not everyone, but most of them. You'll find Kenaz in there somewhere. But it means the torch. It means illumination, well-being, intuition, light, illumination, clarity, revelation, and transformation. That would be the as above side today. The below side would be a missio with the geomancy rune, which is loss. So either something is going to enlighten for today to help you deal with loss, or you'll see the loss of the darkness surrounding your perceptions or your mood. You can look at it kind of different ways there as far as you can look at a lot of these geomancy runes. You can look at as increase or decrease in terms of the energetic structure of it. So missio doesn't necessarily have to mean something bad is happening when you talk about loss. The sun's in Aries today. The moon is in Aquarius until it travels into Pisces at 9:32 p.m. And remember, Thursday is a new moon, so that's cool. Planetary governance today. The moon governs all magics today that are worked. So today's runes Kenaz, having trouble talking, invokes illumination and awakening. You're continuing the transformation you began yesterday on Sunday, and you're at your best when surrounded by beauty and those you love. If any self-esteem issues arise, it may be stemming from the past or from childhood experiences that left you feeling inadequate or vulnerable. Continue to collaborate with others and rely on their experience for inspiration. You intuitively know when your own insights will benefit others and when to step back so that other ideas can be shared. A new shared path will define your future, so give yourself time for that to fully resonate today. So that's it on today's esoteric influences. Let's go ahead and let me get rid of it here so it's off my screen. And let's go ahead and take an Elder Futhark rune from the bag. We just draw one, and then that'll be the as above side of things for the reading. And then the below side will be the geomancy rune we discover here. And we have Ingus. Now Ingus, depending on the Futhark you're using, or your own personal preference, can be written this way, drawn this way, or it can be 2 X's, one on top of the other. Kind of one of the meanings of it is DNA structure. And so it's the sudden release of energy. It's actually Kenez in all directions pointing inward. Kenez looks like a greater than sign. So you can see that throughout there. But it's all pointing inward. And so it's that sudden release of inspiration. It's thought to be the seed. That's the key word for Ingus or Inguas. You can say it either way, depending again on which Futhark you're looking at or which interpretation you're looking at. But I say Ingus, and it's basically the sudden release of energy into awareness or into creation. So it's really kind of a creation energy rune. But it's basically the light of spirit coming in and infusing you with that higher awareness. And so you manifest from a creation standpoint, basically. So it's considered a manifestation rune like Uruz. Uruz is also another manifestation rune. And so there's your higher self coming in today, basically helping us to manifest. Let's see what the geomancy rune is. I'll throw down the 4 elemental runes here, and we'll see what we have. Oh, okay, something's coming to an end. Maybe or learning from some karma. Maybe it's called a Draconis. There's two Draconi. You've got Caput, which is the north node of the moon influencing, and then you've got Kata, which is the south node. The north node of the moon tends to govern the future and destiny, whereas the south node of the moon tends to cover karma. And karma is not a bad thing. Karma is just stuff you need to either think about that you've already learned, or maybe sometimes they talk about it in terms of lessons you didn't learn in another lifetime. So I suppose, but but in learning it now, you're relying on past life experience basically to understand what you're dealing with at the moment. So the benefit of the past to help awaken us to the future or to future destiny, which would then be Ingus. So that's kind of where we're going to start, at least in terms of how we see today's reading. We'll see how it goes though with cards. We'll see I've already shuffled, so I don't really need to do any more. But basically, the cards are just going to give us the more nuts and bolts or the details surrounding this. But we'll see. It could take us in a completely different direction. So we'll just see what they have to say. Let me get my geomancy runes out of the way. Geomancy is an interesting thing. It's an earth energy type of divination tool, whether you're talking about using ley lines or you're talking about pendulum work or you're using geomancy runes. You can take you can have a bowl full of peas, for example, throw them down. If you have an even amount, that's 2 dots. If you throw them down and you have an odd amount, that's 1 dot. And so that tells you, and you're going to do it 4 times. You're going to put it in the order of fire, air, water, and earth. And so it's very elemental in that regard. Well, I can't shuffle for crap today. I was doing better earlier. They're still nice and shiny. It's a newer deck, so my newest deck that I bought. I really like it though, because there's no border. And the blues they use are really cool. They're kind of a grayish blue tinge to them. Let's go ahead and take our first 3 cards and see if we need any more. Well, we have 2 from the Minor Arcana. 1 is a court card. And we have 1 from the Major Arcana here. We have the 7 of Swords, the Queen of Wands, and the Wheel of Fortune. Those are the 3 cards to start us out with. So far, we start out with an 8 energy or 8 numerology for it. So material recognition, achievement, leadership, strength, all could be considered harmony, greater harmony, and which a leader would provide. But here we have leveling the playing field. 7 is about balance. You can think of it in terms of the scales. But 7 is really about balance. And here we have, with the swords, we have the air element, so balance, perception, strategy. And what you see in the background here are the king's men and the tents and all of that. They've come and they're likely getting ready to do battle with the village that they're trying to dominate, maybe. Here you have a line of demarcation down here, this dual line. It's kind of like that's then, this is now. There's a sense of that type of dichotomy, however you want to look at it. But it's like one thing and another. But here you have a guy who's looks like he's probably been inside those tents, maybe helping to serve. And so maybe, excuse me, a little spy within the ranks. Realistically, though, for the townspeople, and what he's doing here, they've left their battle plans out. We can think of swords as battle plans because that's, again, that's the mental side of things, intellectual side of things. And so he's taking some of them. He's leaving 2, but he's taking 5. And he's running off with them. So in a sense, you can assume that the king's men are better equipped to do what they need to do to that town. And so they're, in order to level the playing field, you've got to steal some of their strategy. And so maybe he listened. Maybe he was within earshot of what's going on, so he can take back what he learned. The swords is not that he's taking away armaments necessarily, I don't think. I think it's more about leveling the playing field in terms of strategy. So you may be in a situation here today where you have to get above all of it, and you have to understand the bigger picture to understand what's about to happen. If someone is planning something that is not, that either is nefarious maybe, or there's a vying for control maybe within, say, your work situation. You have to understand the whole situation in order to deal with it. And that's really, I think, what the 7 of Swords is really suggesting to us when we see this, is that you have to have a level playing field. You can't have somebody else have an advantage that you don't know about. And so that's realistically what that is. And again, now that's where Kata Draconis can come in, because you're looking at past life, you're looking at past awareness, past experience maybe. So we can't really get caught up too much in the term karma associated with Kata Draconis, because even though it is, I don't know that, I think we can look at it a little more broadly maybe, is what I'm trying to say. Now, next we have the Queen of Wands. This is an interesting queen. She doesn't really look at you in the eye either, but she's holding a sunflower for Ukraine. Well, you know, we see lions on her on both sides of her throne there. We see them up above here on her family crest, if you will. You can also see, well, it kind of looks like it might be Ouroboros, but I don't think so. I think it's just decorations. And I think then you also see 2 sunflowers there next to her head. This is a queen. Anytime you have wands, you have vitality. And she's holding a staff. This is the suit of wands. You see her cat right there. And she's obviously a woman in authority, older woman. She's strict, she's generous, she's talented, she's successful. She's dynamic. So she's going to stand in her own power, basically. She's going, and that's realistically what I think. You couple the 2 of these together, the 7 of Swords and the Queen of Wands, and you need to use your inner authority. And again, that also speaks to Kata Draconis, using the experience that you have. Maybe you consult an older woman as a mentor, maybe today, or maybe you're the one that's the older woman who's the mentor today for somebody else. But if that's the case, then you're helping them to understand the bigger picture and to help them level the playing field, as it were. Or maybe you go and you talk to somebody there at work that nobody ever talks to, and it's an older woman, and it's like, well, you know, you get her perspective finally, and then she tells you and awakens all kinds of stuff in you that you didn't know about, you know, that you didn't realize was even happening. So maybe she's the one that gives you that information today. It could be looked at it that way as well. But then in the end, I think we're probably going to take another card here. But in the end, we have the Wheel of Fortune. Now, these are literally supposed to be elemental, hermetic style or elemental depictions, as opposed to doing the elemental glyphs, right? But here you have the foundation of everything: mercury, sulfur, and salt surrounding the wheel. And the Wheel of Fortune is about success and completion, but it's not just about that. You know, it's about fortune, prosperity, cycles, uh, all of that, movement, success. But it's the idea that what goes around comes around. So there's a little bit of the karma there. So the karma of the success gained or the outcome of something that is due to all of your planning, and you're maybe reaching out to a mentor. Maybe you could invoke that karma onto someone else. The people, in this case, would be the people in the king's tents over there. You see them here. There's the king's men maybe having a conversation about what they're going to do on the battlefield the next day or something like that. But it tells you that whatever you're going to be doing here today to level the playing field is likely going to be successful in the end for you. And I like the idea of what goes around comes around, because if somebody's doing something that's nefarious, maybe it's about to be brought out. You know, with the sunflowers, with the Queen of Wands, it kind of suggests that sort of revelation, that sort of truth coming out. The sun shining on everything. I mean, here you have the whole background of the card is bright yellow. And so truth and revelation is definitely part of this. And so even if it could just be that there's some forces that say at your job or in some group you belong to or whatever, that are trying to control things in a way that are really just for their own agenda. And so you have to understand what the bigger picture is in order to be successful around it, and then to manifest something new with Ingus. And then if you're looking at Ingus in terms of Kenaz turned inward, then what you have is the light of spirit or higher awareness coming in and giving you a little bit of revelation about what's really going on here. You know, we get caught up with the ego, and sometimes we don't really want to see what's really before us. Especially if the situation feels good to us, if we feel like, you know, our position is being heard, our voice is being heard. We forget that there could be something else going on, that there could be a reason why they're wanting to hear what you have to say. It's to maybe placate you a little bit so that they can get on with what they're doing. Feeling heard is a powerful manipulative force. Just saying. So, you know, what are you going to... So ultimately, if we talk about this in terms of manifestation or in terms of revelation, maybe... If we go to the inner part of Ingus and think about illumination and awareness and awakening, what did we awaken to? Let's see if we can discover what that is. I'm going to take the 13th card here for randomness sake. 8, 11, 12, 13. These cards are so slippery when they're new. Well, here we have the 5 of Cups. We see 3 overturned cups on the ground. We see 2 behind the man. He's dressed in black. His head is hanging down. There's been some change here. 5 is about change. It's also about protection. It could also mean the pentagram. So complete elemental balance with spirit. Change, momentum, you know, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good thing. And here we have loss, feelings of loss here. You see the change can be depicted by the stream in front of him. But there's some grief and some loss here. And it could be that this could actually go in front of the 7. And maybe there's something that, again, that you've realized, that you've found out about. And now you've got to figure out, okay, how am I gonna deal with this? You know, there's some folks maybe that are doing things, say at work, they're vying for position maybe. They want to be in charge of whatever project is going on maybe. and there's some underhanded stuff going on. Maybe some slandering of people that are also there at work, that and trying to suggest that they're not competent, they're not capable enough, right? It could be something like that. Or you realize that you've been duped, right? Maybe you've been duped by somebody or conned by somebody, and you realize the loss of that, and it can be all consuming when that happens. But it evokes a change in you, and there you have the beginnings of Ingus, I think. And at some point, you wake up brilliantly with the yellow, and you are ready to level the playing field by getting a little bit more understanding of what's going on. You may reach out to a mentor, a wise woman, likely, who has a whole lot more experience than you, or has been sitting back silently watching all this stuff go on and knows exactly what's going on, right? So you seek that person out, and they give you some information that you need to have, and then you're able to be successful in overcoming the loss or feelings of loss you felt. In other words, you're able to turn the tables, and what goes around comes around for those people that are possibly causing some chaos in your life. So I think that may be what this is about. It really feels to me, both with Ingus and Cauda Draconis, that something's going on here, and something behind the scenes that you need to rely on some experience, your own past experience. You need to wake up. You need to not be drawn into something that maybe you've been drawn into, or because if something begins to not feel right, you have to consider that somebody has actually been manipulating the situation, and you may not have realized it. They might have spoken to your needs, your ideas, but in reality, something else is going on. We all get those feelings, right? When we know something is amiss, something's happening that shouldn't be happening. And we might not always be able to put our finger on it, but eventually we figure it out. But all too often it's too late. So once you get those feelings, you have to listen to them. And when something just feels like, you just have this emotional sense, it's like, oh Lord, what is going on? And I feel like something big is happening to me, and I can't stop it. You can end up feeling tremendous grief over it. Or ultimately you find out what's going on, and then but see, it's all based on something that's not true, and so then you have to go and bring out the truth of it with the Seven of Swords here. Again, relying on your own past experience, your own inner authority, standing up for yourself, or seeking out a wise mentor, in this case an older woman, who can give you a little bit of a perspective that maybe you don't have. That can just sit you down and say, look, this is what's going on here. Pay attention, and then when you do see, then you come out successfully from it, is what this is suggesting. So I don't know. Interesting way to start a Monday. But at least it's empowering you. That's the one thing. Again, you can sit and be miserable, or you can take action. You can figure out how to get yourself out of it, and maybe try to bring a little truth to the situation. And I really think that's what this is saying. So don't get lost in grief. Feel it, but use it. Use it to your advantage. Use it as a motivator to not get swallowed up by it, but to overcome it, and to try to figure out what the truth of the situation really is, and then figure out a way to let people know that, if that's what's appropriate to do. But you can't lose your power. You just can't. It's there. It's fundamental. You just have to remember it, and then do something about it. And that's really what this is saying. So, and if you do, then you'll likely have a successful outcome. I don't think we need a fifth card. I think we're fine where we are. So anyhow. And again, we look at the esoteric influences for today with Kenaz as the rune there, invoking illumination and awakening. I don't know. Sometimes we get caught up. We think we know what's going on, and then all of a sudden we don't. And it becomes very, very obvious that something else was happening. And that doesn't work for us. It just doesn't. We realize we've been used, maybe we've been conned, we've been played or something, and someone else is getting the accolades that shouldn't, or getting some kind of control, measure of control, who has no business having it. So that just kind of feels like what this is. So take back your power, say what the truth is, and then you should have a successful outcome from that. So anyway, and don't forget the older lady in the mix. We're valuable, so sometimes anyway. So that's it. I guess we'll talk again on Thursday. And again, check out the posts on the blog. The correspondences went up on the bigger version of it went up on Patreon. That includes recommendations for work and magic and all that. If you want to join me over there, it's $1 a month to do that. Otherwise, let's see. Did I put the Medium posts up? Oh Lord, did I forget to do that? I think I forgot to do that again. I did that same thing last week. I got to do that today, so I'll get those up on Medium. But maybe I'll make sure first. Maybe I did it ahead of time. No, because I can't schedule them over there, so I probably didn't. I guess I better do that. Well, I have even more to do now. Thanks for watching, you guys. Have a really good day. Have a good, at least until Thursday or the rest of the week, whatever you want to see it. And come back again on Thursday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself. Be good to one another. And blessed be.